What's up, y'all? It's Shuffle, and in this video we're doing a mod showcase of the Meteorite class, which is a rework using occultist framework, but it's definitely not just an occultist skin or path or whatever. It's a completely new class, new mechanics, new abilities, new ability icons, new paths, if I didn't say that already. There's a lot of cool stuff here, and even trinkets, and we'll discuss it in this video. This mod came about thanks to one of my fantastic patrons named GameTrekker. I was pretty shocked to find out that someone in the community was able to make something this in-depth in terms of a mod class. So naturally, when I was reached out to take a look, talk about it, or even possibly, potentially, maybe make content for it, I was pretty excited. This is also a good segue to plug Patreon if you want to support the channel directly and you want to give the most of your hard-earned disposable income to the shoof, and you don't want YouTube or Twitch/Amazon taking like half of it every time it comes across my paycheck, then check out Patreon. I give early access to videos if time permits. Sometimes it's a news video that has to go out immediately. I made a couple infographic cheat sheets for Darkest Dungeon 1, and sometimes I post whatever game I'm playing at the time, because a lot of games don't get to make it to the YouTube channel just because I don't have the time. But I check out most of them, and then I can share them with y'all. I even set up an Ask Me Anything thread on Patreon that applies even to free members if you just want to check it out. So if you ever want to just ask the shoof random stuff or work-related stuff or whatever, and you want that direct line, be sure to check it out. Here is the man of the hour, the Meteorite instead of occultist. Canon name is Owen, which I'm not sure what the relevance is. Maybe that's the creator's name. Who knows? But either way, very, very awesome stuff. We can't use Demon's Pull, sadly, so I don't know how this goal's going to go. But yeah, we got 4 paths, right? Cool stuff. They even have their own little flavor text and explanations on how stuff works, which is pretty cool. And then you have the normal outfits that Occultist has, because again, we don't really have the capabilities in terms of modding to really drastically overhaul that kind of stuff. Like, I know with the Watcher they put in a PNG for the character. I'm not even sure how they did that, but you know, we can't do too much in the way of altering the characters besides, you know, outfits themselves. At least from what I understand. Maybe there's some crazy coder out there that figured it out. Anyway, so yeah, Meteorite has a lot of different things going on. It can do some pretty good damage. It likes to have combo for the most part. It can give some really good utility. It can give some really powerful effects. But everything feels like it's dialed to the extreme in a good way. Right? Like some of the moves will be, for instance, direct here. Forward 3. Like it's either forward 3, back 3. It's not like back 1, back 2. It's that, right? It's always or at least for the most part, it's always the limit of what is capable. I think that's pretty interesting because obviously, the upsides can be really good for you, and then the downsides can be pretty devastating. We're going to see that with Cataclysm, which was my favorite path, but we'll talk about that later. So, the base of the class, got a melee attack in oppose, 2 to 6 damage, lowers dot res, pretty awesome. The mastery bumps it up to 4 to 7. That's a pretty big spike, but it's not bad in terms of damage for a mastered move. Almost the unmastered version might be a little bit underpowered comparatively, but it still works. It's still fine. Even then, you know, in terms of damage, if I'm saying something needs to go up or down or whatever, you can still use this from anywhere. So maybe that's worth the extra damage trade-off, but pretty stock move. You'll end up using it if you need the melee. Remind, this was one of the most used skills, I would say, when I was playing for the few hours this morning. And oh, I guess remind. I was saying remind, like rewind. No, remind is really nice. It gets rid of daze and stun, which can help in some instances, especially like the spiders, if you go fight them in the creature den. If you have over 5 stress, it removes the stress. or if you have any of the conditions. So if you have daze or stun, it still heals the stress. And then if you're over 6 stress, it heals an extra one. And especially with blind, you know, even though this has a cooldown, you can end up just chipping away at stress while you're doing other stuff. I found this ability to be very good. Station, also a really cool ability. Being able to give another person taunt is just fun. You know, we saw this with Repartee on Night Sworn. That really opened up some things, characters that normally struggle to get taunt or just can't get it. You know, you throw it on like a riposter, like Highwayman if you wanted to. And you can do this here with Station. So if there's like a gap in your defense and you need an extra taunt, it's there. And you get Immobilize. Honestly, pretty strong overall. But I'll save any balance feedback for, I don't know, a different time, I guess. Or maybe I'll just throw it in here. The only thing I would actually change about this is just adding the block. Because you remove Vuln, that's already pretty good. And you anchor someone in place and give them 2 taunt. Like, that's a really powerful combo stuff. And then on Mastery, it removes combo as well. So it's pretty strong, just baseline. And I liked it. I used it a lot, especially on like my tanks. But there are a couple times I would use it, you know, to redirect damage from like a backliner. Retrograde, this was pretty like just normal, all things considered. This is like run and hide from Runaway, except you can target another person. And with this, again, like I said, they go back 3. It's not back 1, back 2. It's always 3 back, 3 forward. You give them stealth and regeneration. It's pretty powerful. But we'll see on... I know Cataclysm changes it, but there are different paths are going to give this thing different effects to my knowledge. I think Onus does, so... I mean, baseline, it's good. Give someone 2 stealth. You can give anyone stealth. That can be really powerful, too. Liberate. So if you want to yank someone and really make them be in trouble, then this is the thing. You can ignore dodge and guard. Pretty nice. Does no on-hit damage. Has a pull. And dazes or combos into a stun when mastered. For this one, I would say maybe it shouldn't hit rank 1 because, you know, usually pull moves don't hit rank 1, push moves don't hit rank 4, just generally. Otherwise, I like that it doesn't do damage, and it's a pretty solid effect. We don't have too many things that get past guard. Not that guard's like necessarily a huge detriment. The times it shows up, it's kind of annoying. So the other thing too is he gets dodge when using this. Direct, this is like Battle Ballad on steroids. Can't target your front rank person, but you send them all the way back to the front. Give them some strength and speed if it's mastered. And people like Leper really appreciate this kind of stuff. Even Hellion, you know, just being able to get someone all the way up there and doing stuff next turn is really good. Transfix is interesting. So this character does want some combo, and this is one of the reasons why. So if you have them comboed, it does an extra 900% damage, but it's only 1-to-1 base damage, so it is for 9. But still, that's pretty funny. And when you get a kill with it, everyone heals stress. On Mastery, damage doesn't change, but it gets Execute 3. So, you know, it's really good at securing kills. Refract, this is almost what I wish in some instances Fester was with Flagellant, because Fester with him destroys a corpse and then blights the adjacent enemies. But this does a little bit of on-hit damage and hits someone else, which can be really nice. The only thing I would probably change about this is I might lower the blight slightly, like 3 unmastered, 4 mastered, and then 5 to 30 crit rate's pretty massive, so maybe shrink that gap a little bit. Transit. At first I thought this move would be like overpowered because it's just almost better Hearthlight, but then I thought back to like Magnesium Rain with Plague Doctor, you know, that does damage, you know, and it hits the enemy. It doesn't do on-hit damage, but it burns them, and that move's fair. So this being able to get rid of stealth, pretty niche. Get rid of guard, pretty niche. Get rid of crit, pretty niche. So it's a bunch of niche things that the main function is the corpse clear. Which, you know, when you think of it like that, a corpse clear with upsides, not bad. Especially considering, like, Demon's Pull on base occultist does damage, combos, stuns when mastered. If you have the unchecked power, and disrupts them, and gets rid of the bodies, you know? Like, this is definitely more tame. Shower, I really like this one. This is pretty much just dropping a meteor on people, I assume. A lot of the attacks don't have full animations. That's just a setback of modding. Otherwise, this is like a mid-cleave that burns instead of bleed. So if you think like Harvest, for instance, and if they're comboed, it does a lot of damage. So not bad uncomboed, but comboed, definitely way better. Then finally, Eclipse. So it gives Occultist or Meteorite stealth and a little bit of stress, and shuffles the entire party. So this can go bad sometimes, but this can also be really good. So for instance, you fight Shambler, you get hit by Shambler's shuffle attack, and then you reshuffle your party and hope that they get into some kind of semblance of a good order. And when mastered, it gives Occultist 2 stealth, very strong, and also a random person crit. So if you can land the crit and the strength, then good times are ahead. For the first path, Solace, I really like the helpful description right here, just more defense focus roll that applies combo instead of consuming it, which, you know, nice. Because a lot of characters like to eat combo, but we don't have too many characters that can constantly dish it out. You know, like Jester is probably the only one. And with this, we get 4 skills changed. And for the paths, the first 2 paths, I think what's really good is that they are mostly just side grades. They're not, there's no Wanderer plus thing. You get to Cataclysm, and a lot of the skills are pretty much the Wanderer variations, but way stronger. So it would almost be Wanderer plus. But the drawbacks are pretty freaking hefty, so I think it evens out. Which, I had a lot of fun playing that, but we're still talking about Solace, so. Liberate applies combo half the time unmastered, and then mastered it applies combo. Ignores guard, pull 2 instead of, I believe, pull 1. Right? Yeah. Okay, so this is one of the few times where we're dealing with like push and pull 1 or 2 instead of 3. But what's really nice too is the chance to remove death armor. I don't know if that counts as a debuff resist check or if it just literally is the 66, and if you hit the 66% chance, it just takes it off. Like, do they even have a chance to resist it? I don't think so. But that's really good. And they're comboed, so you might have a stronger effect coming alongside it. So pretty nice overall. And I'm okay with this hitting rank 1, because the main thing here is like the combo, the death armor thing, and, you know, getting that kill secured. Transfix does quite a few things, but honestly, it's mostly just giving combo and then hitting the enemy with bleed if they have vulnerable. And it's kind of a big blow up too, because it goes from no bleed to if vuln 6 bleed over 3 turns. That's pretty freaking strong. And it does 1 damage on hit too, so I can check death armor. So this is pretty powerful. And maybe the rank targeting could change. I'm not sure here, but yeah, it can be really good. But if you don't have the conditions, man, like if there's no vuln, this is just a 1 damage hit. So again, more risk reward thing. Like if you can set it up, it'll pop off. If you don't set it up, it's pretty average, or in some cases below average. Like 1 damage to deal a combo. I mean, you ignore all the tokens. That's good. Transit is really interesting now. So I like the idea of giving people stress resist instead of just stress healing, because this is a more proactive way to play, which is normally what DD 1 and 2 support. The game favors aggression. It favors proactivity instead of reactivity. And when I say aggression, I don't even mean like killing the enemies first. I just mean setting the pace, setting the tempo of the fight on your terms, and being able to give your whole party stress resist for a little bit and some debuff res. Does a pretty good job of that. Like on a road fight, you hit this like turn 1, and everyone's safe for pretty much the majority of it. So really cool stuff there. And then Shower is a combo setter. It took a second. I was like, didn't it do combo before? No. It burned combo to do more damage, but now it's just a combo setter against 2 enemies. So, and the crit went up a little bit, right? Yeah. Okay. So pretty solid. When I was playing, I found myself putting Shower on pretty much every build. It just fits so well alongside the other stuff you're trying to do. It's like couple buffs, couple setups or whatever, you know, some kind of support synergy, and then you have Shower to just throw in some damage when needed alongside like a pose. Onus. This one gets a little more complicated. So Solace, you know, was a step up, or not step up, but definitely like the sidestep in terms of capability, and just change gears, which does change how the character plays a little bit. But then also you get to Onus, and now stuff starts to change. This is when it starts feeling like super modded, you know. So you have to be up front. Most of it, I believe, favors rank 1, not even just like 1 and 2, like straight up 1. And so this is a Grim Discipline instead of Unchecked Power now. That's just a rename for the thing. I'm sure if it was possible, or maybe in the future there'll be a different icon, but for now it's just Unchecked Power because we're using Occultist. Yeah, so bonus HP, pretty nice. Res Piercing, that's fine. And the more Unchecked Power you have, you get these bonus effects. So when you get hit, you get the Unchecked Power, or the Grim Discipline. Sorry, I'm used to calling it up. Yeah, so you get the Grim Discipline, and then when you hit the enemy, you lose 1. So you're doing a balancing act of trying to keep the amount you want so you can get your bonus effects and juggle all of that together with your normal moves. So obviously here, if you have 1, 2, or 3, you take off more of their debuff res, and if you make it to 3, you can bleed them for 3 turns for 3 damage, which is pretty cool. And we have Remind, which now it's a front rank ability, which it used to be a back rank, right? So it's just a stress heal. It's a front lane stress heal, which is pretty cool. Removes blind from self. Wait, no, target has to be blinded, then it removes it off himself. That's right. So interesting on that part. Station gets a little bit of a change. The base version looks the same. The upgraded version removes combo. Oh, it's a self-target. That's what it is. Okay, so it's not targeting the other person. It's pretty greedy. You know, he hits himself with it. Next is Retrograde, which is another self buff type thing. This is like, oh man, stuff's going bad. Let me run to the back of the party, go into stealth, heal myself. And it pairs very nicely with Direct, which is the opposite. So you go back 3 and then forward 3. This gives you crit, speed, pretty nice, and then Mastered. Since you're in stealth, if you use Retrograde, you get 2 strength. So you come out of this with strength, speed, and crit. This is pretty freaking damaging. And it's a fun combo. It's kind of like your own Shadow Fade Lunge, but there's like a 3rd step, which is attacking. Refract. There it is. Okay. The icons, not too familiar with them yet, but I'm learning. So Refract changed a little bit, and it's just you can use it up front, and it does more blights unmastered. So this one could probably go up a little bit in terms of effectiveness, or at least get tweaked comparatively, but I mean, it's still fine, still good. Shower. The old Courageous Abandon actually, it's not Courageous Abandon, it's closer to Bleed Out, where you're up front, you can only hit the other up front person, you get Res Pierce on combo, and you burn yourself, but then you can also burn them for a ton. So pretty close to Bleed Out, more than anything. It's a range attack, which might have some interesting applications. And then we have Eclipse, had to be up front, and when you do this, you get Stealth. You can't use Direct from rank 1, so, you know, it's a little tough to weave those together. But you give your allies a bunch of dodge and chance of stress. So pretty good self, like, protection thing, but then also team buff all around. And now, come to Cataclysm. Improved effectiveness at a torturous cost. This is very close. I say very close, I don't mean like carbon copy or anything like that. I mean, if you have played this, it will feel similar to that, like just to make the connection easier. This is very close to Flagellant in terms of theoretical playstyle, where you got some pretty good moves. You hurt yourself to use them, but if you can manage that, then it's really powerful. All skills except Liberate and Transit, so these two get changed. Wait, no. Where's Transit? T, yeah. So these two stay the same, everything else gets changed. And he gets bonus healing received, so that could be helpful. Yeah, Oppose, very similar in terms of mechanics to Wanderer. You see here, like, we'll talk about the Grim Discipline in a sec, but otherwise, you know, you still got the debuff for it, or not debuff, the dot res getting lowered. Still does on-hit damage, same reach, but the difference is the damage skyrockets, right? This is 2 to 6, 4 to 7. And then this is 6 to 9, and then 9 to 10. So it's going to hit really hard. The difference is if you have no Grim Discipline, you take 4 damage for swinging this. So you can really put yourself in danger. It's not percentage based, it's flat health. So there's some situations where this is better, some situations where it's worse. But yeah, and if you have 1 or 2 Grim Disciplines, you get another. Because once you get the first one, the path is going to try and push you up to the 3rd to reset it. And so when you're at 1 or 2, you get 1 more. So if you use it again, go from 1 to 2, use it again, 2 to 3, use it a 3rd time, and then it falls off. Because when it says removes Grim Discipline, it takes the entire stack off you. But yeah, this just hits really hard. It's the same move, just hits hard with the downside. Remind, this is your only way into Grim Discipline. Okay, so there's no other way to grab it on this path. You have to start with this. The other thing too is the jump start's really powerful. You know, it relieves stress on him. You get your first Grim Discipline token. You target someone, they get 5 stress instantly, but they also get an extra action. And there's no cooldown on this, which is kind of nutty, but it doesn't do the effect repeatedly, it changes. So there will be times where being able to jumpstart this and give a teammate an extra turn can be really good. But if you're coming through like a boss fight or just off a couple difficult fights and your team's sitting at like 3-4 stress the whole time, they go up to like 8-9, then it can be pretty dangerous. If you have more than 1 Grim Discipline token and you use this, he stuns himself, gets a full heal, gives someone dodge plus, and then takes all of the stack off of him. Which, since there's no cooldown, if you really needed to, you could like do this once, give out the extra action, give out the stress, turn 2, stun yourself, take it off, give someone dodge plus, skip your next turn, right? And then do it again if you really wanted to. The stress gets out of control pretty fast, but like I said, that's your only way to get this token started. Station, same thing. If you don't have any Grim Discipline, you get stress, and then if you have 1 or 2, you go to 3. When you get 3, it removes everything, but otherwise it's the same effect, mostly, except for the mastered version, you get your own block token, and the target gets block plus. Retrograde, this gives him restoration, regeneration once it's mastered, and then the other person, instead of I believe 2 stealth, yeah, mastered, they get the dot clear, which is pretty good too. So again, very similar to the Wanderer variant, but just really amped up in terms of juice. Liberate's the same, direct, again, same thing. So you get the forward 3, strength, speed, but this time you clear like every token off of them. And as you can see, the Grim Discipline stack has pretty much the same effect as some of the other moves. Transfix, I thought it was transit at first, but yeah. So Transfix becomes a party cleave. And if they're comboed, you do 600% damage. Your base damage is now 2 to 2 instead of 1 to 1. Can be very powerful. However, 0 Grim Discipline, you take 7 damage for hitting the enemy team with this. you can keep doing it if you want, but you're going to kill yourself in a few turns. And if you have 1 or 2, you still take damage and add another discipline. If you have 3, take the damage and you cleanse yourself. And when this is mastered, it has execute 3. So this can lead to some really nutty stuff in terms of just sniping enemies. You're not going to have the whole enemy team comboed. It's way too hard to do that consistently. But you got 1 or 2 people comboed, then you can make some good stuff happen. Refract, this is like mini malediction, and I really liked it. They get pretty hefty hit in 2 to 7. You can only hit the mid targets, but obviously no Grim Discipline. You take 7 damage, same as was this Transfix that we just dealt with. But then the enemy you target gets Blight, Bleed, and Burn. Random adjacent enemy also gets the damage over time effects. And I don't know if the Blight 2 on the middle one here, on the unmastered version, is a typo, because everything else is 1, and then you go to the next version, everything's 2. But yeah, so I guess it's just more Blight focused than anything. Transit stays the same, and then we get to Shower, which this one is a really nice one to lean on when you're playing this path. So like you get your first Grim Discipline token, and then you can just keep hitting Shower because it doesn't stack it up. I don't know if it's supposed to, but currently it doesn't. So you can get yourself out of that dangerous, you know, I take damage range, but then also just start pumping out some pretty solid damage. So again, I was using this one a lot. It was very effective. And then Eclipse. This one's pretty fun. I liked it. So what ends up happening is you force a target to guard you. You don't guard the target, which is what I thought when I first pressed it, but no. You force the target to guard you, very similar to Antiquarian using Protect Me in DD1, if you remember. Target also gets crit tokens, so this can do some really cool stuff. You know, if you want to set up a riposte character, make them guard you, also give them crit. Can give a crit to a healer for free, which can be really good. So if you want to crit heal for something, that can be really helpful. But yeah, overall, really fun set of skills. Some of them are kind of niche. It felt like Liberate, obviously, and Transit, but the ones I found myself using the most, just to look back at Wander. Oppose, just because it was straightforward. Remind was really good with the baseline effect. I don't think does it change on the other two? Oh, on this one it does, but yeah. On the first two, pretty good overall. Like I really enjoyed it. And then Station I also used a lot. Retrograde I didn't use too much, but it is really good. Liberate, like I said, niche. Direct really needs the team to either be dancy or, you know, just you have to have some other strategy in mind, because, you know, if no one's getting moved, then this isn't too great. But like when you need to use it for that, it's good, especially the upgraded version. Transfix, I didn't end up using this too much. I'm not saying it's bad, but just like that was a lot of it was a good amount of work trying to make sure things were comboed and getting that bonus damage when, you know, you can just hit showers or shower or like a pose, for instance. So again, not bad, but I usually take the more streamlined route to doing things. That makes sense. Refract, also really good. I hit this a lot too. Very good move. Overall, a little too much damage I feel on the Blight, but I said that already. And Transit, pretty niche. Shower, constantly just good. Eclipse, also really fun. I use this quite a bit. And, you know, it screwed me sometimes, but otherwise it was really fun. Taking a look here at the trinkets. The first one is Hair Tie. And when you get damaged, you can lose the stress, and if you're stress damage, you can heal. Combat start days, this is pretty strong, honestly. The only like super downside is, well, there's two. The first is the fact that you have to get hurt in some way to trigger it. The other is it's not obviously guaranteed to give you a good outcome. The other one is the combat start days is kind of dangerous because there's a lot of quirks in the game, or even diseases, I think, but they'll start you like off guard. I think will start you with the daze, and so if you have this on at the same time, you can double daze yourself. You could stun your first turn, unbeknownst or unknowingly or unintentionally. It sucks. I mean, the trinket's fine, but I'm saying like that outcome sucks. A fragment, liberate gets vulnerable. That's pretty cool because it just makes it even, more like offensively oriented, screw up the enemy that you're targeting. Transit skills give crits to self 66% of the time. Not bad. Killing blow, removing 1 loathing. This is the best trinket in the entire game just because of that. Because screw loathing. Screw loathing. Until anything changes with it, it's just gonna be the source of my contempt. The turn start negative token in stealth is pretty relevant because of the access to stealth, and then turn start if guarded. This makes it so the skills that are giving you stealth and guard, for example, are way more dangerous because none of it's percentage based. It's just like it's going to happen, so be careful. Thank you card. Apply to attacker when hit. Combo. Self. Transit skills. Block and taunt. So this really just sets you up to combo them. And in terms of balance for this one specifically, I almost wish it didn't even give you block. Because giving guaranteed combo is pretty powerful. So having the ability to get hits but make it still dangerous because you're not blocking the damage normally, you're not mitigating any of it, you have to use something else to help with that. It's very powerful effect. So I think it's overall are pretty strong. This one has kind of the most in terms of like pretty good upsides and then like pretty dangerous negatives, but the other two feel mostly just positive. All right, y'all, that's gonna do it for the video. Thanks for watching. If you want to download the mod yourself, there will be a link provided. And thank you again to GameTrekker and my fantastic patrons for supporting the channel over the years. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.